What is up, you guys? It is Stu, and you know this chick right now. Say your name.
Oh, Jessie.
Just Jessie. Just Jessie. Or Jay-Z, whatever you want to call her. Today, we're going to be having a collab between Jay-Z and Beyonce. And we're going to be doing 2 different color tutorials. One part on my channel, one part on Jessie's channel, so make sure you stay tuned. I'm doing a lived in blind, and it's going to be so perfect because they're going to be calling me Daddy Stylez after this because it is going to be Hilary Duff inspired in her new show, How I Met Your Father. I just feel like that.
Except better.
Except better, because the only thing I wish Hilary Duff had was a little bit of layering in her extensions. I feel like they're just so... So we're going to be going over all of our techniques. We're going to be adding in extensions. It's going to be super fun. So if you want to see 2 transformations,
stay tuned. Oh, and if you want your hair done by us, text this number.
Yes. Call me, beat me if you want to reach me. Okay guys, so here is my client's before. As you can see, she's got a lot of regrowth, but she is pretty blonde on her ends. They could be brightened up a little bit, but she is pretty dimensional throughout. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is something that I actually do a lot, and that is going to be installing the extensions before the color service. The colors I'm using is going to be the Freddie and the Natalie by Jay-Z Styles Co, of course, and we are using Jade Tide Wefts. We are using 3 bags total. And before I go in and start breaking down the color, I just wanted to mention that the reason that I like to do transformation sometimes with extensions in first, especially when people are getting new extensions, or even whenever they're coming in between getting new hair, just their regular move ups, it's a great time to install the extensions before so you can tone everything together at the shampoo bowl. And we will be going over that a little bit more in detail a little bit later in this video when we get to that step. I am using today Wella Blondor and 20 volume because I'm going to be doing thinner sections and more packed in highlights. This has been my go-to lightener lately. It has a bond builder inside of it, and I've been loving it compared to Blonde Me because it does not swell at all. So what I'm going to be going through and doing is more of a ribbon stitched highlight, or like a medium stitched highlight, and I'm going to be teasing her new growth to soften that line so it's a little bit more dimensional and rooty. And I'm only going to be teasing about midway up, and I'm going to be using my board for extra sturdiness and to help with saturation, and going through and doing some teasy lights to this back section. Now whenever I'm coloring hair and they have extensions, I like to clip up the extension rows because it's so much hair to put down and pick back up, put down and pick back up. It makes it a little bit easier. And it is a bit of a time saver whenever I'm doing it. So I've got all of her rows clipped up, and I'm focusing on everything that is below that bottom row. So I've went up on both sides, and I've done teasy lights, and now just to pop out those ends a little bit more, I'm going to be teasing those and popping those out with the same formula. I don't have to worry about upping my volume or anything because I'm doing my dropouts as I go, and also my section size for these teasy lights and pop outs on her ends are going to be the same width and everything, so they're going to be processing super nice and easy. So I've continued that same pattern in between her rows, and now I'm above that first or top horseshoe. Now a lot of people ask me how I tackle this, and anytime that I have extensions in before I do the color, I always start in the middle of that horseshoe, start working my way up. And then when my section is going to be wider than my foil, I'm actually going to do 2 to the left, 2 to the right, and go to my signature Bricklay Pattern. If you've watched any of my videos, you know that whenever I'm doing a full highlight or anything working up the back of the head, a Bricklay Pattern is the way to go, and it is my favorite way to tackle the back of the head. I feel like it saves me a lot of time, and then also I feel like it's not as uniformed or just like too like, I don't know, it just makes it look a lot more lived in, and I feel like everything lays a little bit more natural in the end. Now on this top section, I do want it to be a little bit brighter than the interior, so I'm going to be alternating from teasy lights and into highlights. My highlights are going to be the same pattern, the same stitch as my teasy lights. It's just going to add extra pops without the tease, and then a little bit of diffusion and blendiness with the tease. Now whenever you're thinking about teasy lights, I feel like they used to scare me so much in the beginning of my career whenever I first tried to utilize them, is you want to be careful because you don't want to tease too much. The reason you tease is because the way I think about it, all that hair you're back combing, everything that's going up and out of the foil has got to come back down whenever you brush it out, and it's going to be laying really nice. So the more that you tease, the more diffused and like shimmery your highlights are going to look, and the less you tease, the more bold you're going to be doing. So using at the top of the head a little combo of both, I feel like it's going to give us the perfect end result. So she does leave here looking like Hilary Duff. Also, as I'm working up the back of her head, something that you'll notice is as I'm doing that Bricklay pattern, 2 in the middle, 2 to the right, 2 to the left, what it's going to be achieving is a little triangle at the top. So usually whenever I do full highlights, or whenever you are taught to section them out, you are taught to almost do an upside down triangle at the top and then 2 sections to the left and to the right from everything below that to the nape of their head. So this is going to automatically be giving us that same effect without doing like taking the time out to section. Not that it's a waste of time to section the hair or anything, I think that it's great. I just feel like I can work a little bit faster doing it this way. Something else you might be worried about or concerned about is overlapping her hair. Now, I totally had her permission. She is a hairstylist. She knew the only way to get lighter is by overlapping. And if you have any concerns about overlapping, I do have a dedicated video to that on my channel. It is 10 steps, tips and tricks for overlapping blonde hair or previously lightened hair. And it is going to be going over a lot more details than I could give you just in this video. So be sure to check that out. It's just a few videos back, but I promise there's always a safe way to do it whenever you're wanting to make someone lighter. And if you are scared to overlap, I feel like that video will help you a ton. Now that everything above that top horseshoe is completed to be foiled, I'm going to go ahead and pop out these ends so everything processes super nice and even. Okay, so now working on that face frame, I've started off by combing out those little baby hairs so they don't seem like breakage, and I'm taking my first weave right here, and it is more of a slice actually, and I'm teasing it a few times so it is still diffused and blending around her hairline, and I'm going to be going in and saturating this. I'm going to be working on a diagonal back right here on the sides of her head, each side. I'm going to be working my way up on some diagonal backs right here because it's going to be working with the head shape the most. It's almost going to be the foil's almost going to be in the same position as her horseshoes. They're doing a slight diagonal up just so I can work around those a little bit easier. And that is a good rule to follow whenever it comes to doing like coloring around extensions. If you're placing your foils almost in the same direction as you're working towards the rows that you have already installed, it's going to make your life a lot easier. Something else you may notice is that I am using a smaller hairline foil because these hairs are going to be a lot shorter than the hairs everywhere else, and it's just going to be making my job a lot easier. I feel like sometimes if I go in with a huge long foil right over here, it's going to make it where it's a little bit too heavy for the section. It's going to be easier for the foils to slip, which will cause bleeders, which we obviously want to avoid. And on this foil, I really wanted to break down how I utilize my board. So as you can see, I've taken my weave and I'm going to be placing my board and still holding it with tight tension and locking that weave in with my thumb. Anytime you want a nice, precise, clean foil, you know that tension is key. Holding tension in there is going to make sure that it stays into place and as close to the scalp as possible. And my board is going to be giving me a sturdy canvas to paint on, which I feel like makes saturating 10 times easier and almost saves me a little bit of time. Now I know you think it's going to take a lot of time to put the foil, pick up the board and put down the board, but if you load a few foils on there at a time, I feel like it really doesn't change that much time in your process. So I have continued those diagonal backs all the way up, and now we are going to be working on her hairline. You guys, this is one of my favorite ways to do the money pieces. I'm kind of starting off on a V section. You saw I did 2 foils over there to the left. Now I'm going to be doing the same thing over here to the right. I'm going to be teasing off the hairline just like I did on the sides to keep everything super blendy and precise. And as you can see, her hairline comes to a point a little bit. She doesn't have a super like defined widow's peak, but it still does poke out to the front, which I feel like 9 times out of 10 people do. Not a lot of people have like a square square hairline. So I'm going to be doing these foils back to back to make sure that it's bright no matter which way she tousles her hair. And she is a middle parter, so I'm going to be taking slices off of that middle part, working my way back. So her pop of brightness where the slices will be going is going to be right there where her hair splits on her part, and then, but if she ever is in a mood to tousle her hair, it's going to be bright all the way around her hairline. So we've done those 4 foils, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, and now I'm going to be taking a straight slice down the middle. This is going to ensure that there is a nice pop of brightness. Now for a little bit, I was kind of like hating on doing straight slices, but honestly, it's going to give her the maximum little pop, and especially if you go back to that inspo picture of Hilary Duff, she has a nice pretty money piece in the front and it's all blendy throughout the rest. So we're going to ensure that she gets that sexy little money piece by doing this. I'm going to be doing 1 slice, and then I'm going to be teasing the next slice just a little bit, just for a little bit of diffusion, and I'm going to be working my way back and transitioning into more of the same pattern that we did up the back of the head and up the sides, just so everything stays super consistent. Also, as I'm working my way back, even on these money pieces, I'm going to be spacing my foils out from being so jam-packed into having a little bit more of a dropout in between. And honestly, I feel like you always need to transition like this from slices to teasy slices to teasy lights into what you have been doing everywhere else, just so it's a nice consistent blend from the pop off of our hairline and blending into everything else. And continuing off of that money piece, we're going to be doing the same thing that we did working up the back of the head, alternating teasy lights and highlights right here at the top, just so everything is super nice and bright up top, and then it's going to have a little bit more dimension in the interior, even though it's going to be really slight. So now that she is fully processed, I have taken her back to the shampoo bowl. We have rinsed and we washed her twice with a clarifying shampoo. The shampoo that I use is, you might have guessed it if you've seen any of my other videos, is Weekender by Unite. Anytime I'm doing a process that is fully lightener, I'm going to make sure that I clarify it out of the hair, just to ensure that the toner can take very nice and easy, and it is a nice blank canvas to tone on. And it's also going to be stripping her hair of any impurities, and it's also going to be helping getting that coating that comes on extensions. No matter what brand extensions you use, I don't care what they say, they all are going to have somewhat of like a coating on them, so that we can tone those extensions really nicely as well. The formula that I'm using is Redken Shades EQ 7N, 7NA, just so I can counteract any warmth of the NA that we might have gotten at the root, and I'm just going to be taking that down right to where that gradient blend of our teasy lights kind of start. It's also going to help those foils that did have the highlight, not just the teasy light, have a little bit more of a blend at the root, because Hilary's picture Hilary. I'm on a first name basis with Hilary Duff because the picture of Hilary Duff did have a really nice blendy root. After I've let that sit for 10 minutes, leaving that money piece and hairline out, I'm going to be going in and toning her hair with an all over toner, and I've mixed up 9P, 9GI, and 9VG. 9P is a pearl, which is a blue and violet base, which is going to help counteract any orange tones or any yellow tones in the hair. 9GI is a gold iridescent, and it is mainly gold based, which is going to help the light reflect off of it a little bit more. It's going to help keep it bright where it doesn't ash out and look almost dull. And the 9VG is a violet gold, so it's going to have a little bit of violet in there to kick out any yellow tones and be a little bit stronger, but also gold reflect in there as well, so it keeps it nice and bright where it's not going to be like too like ashy or dull, because that is not how the inspo picture looked at all of my girl Hilary, since we're on a first name basis. I went ahead and saturated her hair because her extensions are going to be taking this toner a lot faster than her actual hair will. Extension hair is a lot more porous than natural hair, just because it has been processed so much to get to the color that it is at. So after that is done, I'm going to even leave her money piece out to be very last, and we're going to be hitting that when I think everything is looking good. Now at Jay-Z, we always say that whenever your toner looks scary, leave it on for 1 extra minute and it will be perfect. And as you can see here, my girl Piper is helping me blow dry her up, and you can see it's really nice and rooty and blended, and it's got slight dimension throughout her ends with that little combo of Freddie and Natalie, but it is super bright, and oh my god, I am obsessed with the way that this turned out. I'm gonna let you guys see her reaction because it was so cute, but don't forget to like and subscribe, all those good things. Follow me on Instagram. You guys, I love you. I love this hair, how it turned out. Thanks for watching, and check out this girl's reaction.
Okay, and then we can put them side by side.
And then I don't look at myself, right?
No, not yet.
Stop! No!
So gorgeous.
You look so good. I don't even recognize you. No! What?
You did?
I literally look just like. Oh my god! Stop. Oh my god, Stu! Holy shit! I've never felt so pretty in my life.
Like I always say, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, of course, because it does mean a lot. Leave any questions you have about this process in the comments below, and I will be happy to answer them for you guys. Don't forget to watch Jessie's video as well on doing her best friend's hair, because that was beautiful, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.